Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. I'm Brian Craig. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. The program is brought to you, of course, by Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. If you're in the state of Florida and you need roof replacement or repair, Tom Laporta is your guy. He's a good MAGA man, and he'll never sell you a roof you do not need. Online at laportaroofing.com. Okay, so a lot's going on here. I want to talk about something that Charlie Kirk did today. Charlie Kirk went on the Gavin Newsom podcast. I'm going to play just one clip of it, a short clip in just a minute. But Gavin Newsom obviously is planning on running for president of the United States. I mean, there's no getting around that, right? Everybody knows this. Now, that's not to say he's going to win, because who in their right mind would elect the governor of the failed state of California that even Californians gripe about? Who would vote for him to be president? But he's definitely planning on running. He's got a lot of connections. He's related to Pelosi. So there is a good chance that Gavin Newsom would get the nomination. There's no doubt about it. If the Democrats have a primary this time. Remember, there was no primary last time, and they had it and Biden won it, but they gave Kamala the nomination without running in the primary, which was insane. Never heard of such a thing happening, but it happened. So who knows? But he's certainly, Gavin Newsom, so far as the Democrats go, he's in the front runner status right now. I know there's some others, and it's a long way off, and anything can happen. But right now, he's the front runner. So he started this podcast, and the reason that Gavin Newsom started this podcast that he's doing now, where he said he wants to talk to conservatives, Republicans, MAGA people, is because the Democrats are now, the Democrats are always scheming. They don't come at the issues straight at you ever. They're always scheming. And they've told themselves that the reason Trump won is because all these podcasts were behind him. And I'm not saying that the podcast, including this one, didn't have a role in it, because podcasts have a huge reach with people. So there's certainly influence in that, but that's not the reason Trump won. It helped. Some of the podcasts that he went on introduced him to an audience that maybe would not have thought about voting for Trump. Who knows? But you guys don't have to go through all that. But the Democrats here with Newsom are scheming. Well, we just have to dominate the podcast space. And if we dominate the podcast space, we'll win. How about get on the right side of the issues, right? I mean, the positions that the Democrats are taking and have been taking are so absurd. That's why they're losing. But anyway, Charlie Kirk sat down with Gavin Newsom. And this really ticks me off, to tell you the truth about Charlie Kirk. And I'm a big fan of Charlie Kirk. I like Charlie Kirk. He has done incredible work. He's one of the most important MAGA people we have, because Charlie Kirk has done such a great job of bringing the youth vote to President Trump, to the Republican Party. He's made being MAGA cool with kids, which is awesome. So he's done great work there. But the mistake that Charlie Kirk made by going on the Gavin Newsom podcast is he's giving credibility to Gavin Newsom. Charlie Kirk is one of the most famous men in politics and media today. He has a huge influence. He has a massive audience on all the different platforms he's on. And he's giving credibility to Gavin Newsom. And I know he challenges him. I'm going to play this one clip. Here it is.
So you right now should come out and be like, you know what? The young man who's about to win the state championship in the long jump in female sports, right, that shouldn't happen. You as the governor should step out say no.
No, and I appreciate.
But would you do something like that? Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. So that's easy to call out, the unfairness of that.
Okay, so now he's taking kind of a soft position against that. But why give Gavin Newsom credibility? Why give him your clout? And, Charlie Kirk, I'm not sure what Charlie's doing there. I mean, you could maybe make a case that he's trying to reach some new people on his own. But, the thing with Charlie Kirk, and this is to take nothing away from him, because I like Charlie Kirk a lot. And, I'm not one to be criticizing Charlie Kirk at all, because he's done such great work and he's very important to our movement. No question. But, he's under tremendous amounts of pressure. If you listen to his podcast, this is just what I sense. He has a very, very large organization. And his organization is supported primarily from angel donors, people that believe in what he's doing, big Republican donors. Back in the 80s and 90s, we had groups like the Christian Coalition. Turning Point USA is where conservatives donate their money, and other places. But it's one of those places like the Christian Coalition where Republicans donate money, the big donors, because those activist organizations are doing something. But when I listen to him, I've heard him talk about payroll and things. He seems to be stressed sometimes financially. So, and he's got a big overhead. I get it. So, part of that pressure becomes clout chasing and doing things that I just don't think are appropriate. And I'm not saying that it's wrong for a conservative to talk to Gavin Newsom. What I'm saying is our top people should not be giving him credibility as if Gavin Newsom is a credible person. You talk to them, but you really go after him. You don't have a gentleman's discussion because he's not a credible person. He's a lunatic. What is going on in California is a nightmare. And we certainly don't want that to leave the borders of California to somebody who could be president one day. I'm sorry. I believe it was a mistake for Charlie Kirk to do that. You can let me know what you think in the comments if I'm overreacting, if you agree, if you disagree. I just don't think we should be giving credit. And another thing, it doesn't just give credit to Gavin Newsom. It brings Charlie Kirk's clout to Gavin Newsom's podcast, which Gavin really needs. So now people are going to start listening to that podcast that may never have turned it on, because I saw the promo the other day and it was like a clown show. Okay. His little promo. It was ridiculous. So that, that's just my opinion on it. I certainly welcome yours. I came across something on X today that I want to share with you. But before I do, I want to tell you about Mike Lindell at MyPillow. Now, this morning on the radio, I shared with you this text that I got from a listener who just happens to have my cell phone number. I don't know how they have my number, but they have it. And let me pull this up. I get so many text messages from people. John in Wellington. You've heard him call the show many, many times over the years. John in Wellington. He's changed his name to John in Palm Coast because he moved from Wellington to Palm Coast. But this is what he texted me. Last week, I received the MyPillow My Towels. I've used them and washed them a few times, and I'm not sure if it's my imagination or not, but they seem to get better and more absorbent with each wash. They are everything you said they were. Thanks for the tip. And I texted him back. I said, yeah, I had the same experience. Yeah, they do get better with wash, and they're spectacular. And it's one of those things I know you got to experience, because I know a lot of people think, oh, a towel. You know, what's a towel? What difference could it possibly make? When you use the MyPillow towel, like John in Wellington, now John in Palm Coast, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The regular price for the MyPillow 6-piece towel set, by the way, they come in 10 colors, is $69.98. But right now, with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, just $29.98 and free shipping. They make a great towel set. You will not use another towel again. And remember, when you use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, you're supporting all my content, my podcast, the radio show, my YouTube channel, and it's greatly appreciated. All right. So listen to John in Wellington. Use the promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, and load up on the MyPillow towels. All right. So I came across this really bizarre, I wouldn't call it a montage. It's more of a side-by-side with Jasmine Crockett. And I imagine AOC's got to hate Jasmine Crockett more than anybody else, because Jasmine Crockett's getting all the attention. Everyone's talking about Jasmine Crockett all the time, and AOC doesn't get too much attention these days. And this side-by-side that I got, it's an interview that Jasmine Crockett gave when she first was running for office, compared to how she talks today. And today she talks very, I know it's not a term I would normally use, but she talks really ghetto, right? Well, come to find out, that's an act. She doesn't talk that way at all in her normal life. It's an act she's putting on. And this interview was with her before she went ghetto. Listen to this. This is Jasmine Crockett. And if you were just listening to this, you wouldn't even know it was her, okay? And then after you hear a little bit of this interview, it cuts to a clip of her from just this week, and you can hear the difference, all right? Listen.
First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. You know, no one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now it looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress. It's just not what my plan was. But what I've always decided is that I would step up when there was a need. Listen, he up there, he's hearing all kinds of nonsense and bullshit. Let me just be real. And we weren't gonna sit for that shit. We wouldn't, you know. But when she called me and said, I think it's time for me to retire, and you're the one that I believe should take my seat, I really was kind of caught off guard. I didn't anticipate that. If anyone knows anything about the Congresswoman, they know. We showed up, and if he had some sense, then maybe we would have been about that life. But y'all know he ain't got no sense. So please give some love. This took a little bit of coordinating to do, for sure. We got some cool shirts. You know, the congressional seat is over 4 times as large as my House seat. And I was just starting to get into the rhythm of doing constituent services and things like that. We got Madam Williams, who just happens to have the honorary seat. It's not even honorary because she's holding it down, y'all.
I mean, it's really astounding, this ghetto act that she's doing. And, you know, it's really a shame that she's doing that, because, you know, what she's doing is, you know, it's if she were a white person, it'd be racist. It's a cultural misappropriation, something like this. And it shows you what she thinks of black people in this country. Even though she's black, she really has a low opinion of the average black people in this country, a black person in this country, to do this ghetto act when you see how she really talks, which is like perfect. It's really sad. And, you know, it's amazing to me, the free pass that Democrats get on everything. A Democrat can do whatever it is they want to do, and no one ever questions them, do they? Ever. They're very lucky with that. You know, Republicans, you know, we're always held accountable. You make a misstep, you are done if you're a Republican. But if you're a Democrat, it's like James Bond with the license to kill. If you're a Democrat, you have complete immunity and a license to do pretty much whatever you want. And that is a textbook example of it. I found it really, really disturbing. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. My name's Brian Craig. You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this. It started like a fairy tale. A beautiful young woman, a dashing mafia prince, wealth, passion, a dream wedding. They had it all. But fairy tales don't last forever. From Hollywood, California-based author Pamela M. Richter comes your next must-read book, Flashback, Lolita. Available on Amazon. Her prince murdered, her world shattered, and now Lolita's trapped in a maximum security prison with steel bars, ruthless guards, rival gangs, poison, betrayal, and death at every turn. Can Lolita survive the nightmare? Or will she become just another forgotten inmate? Find out when you read Flashback Lolita from author Pamela M. Richter. Available right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. You will not be able to put this dark thriller down. Order your copy right now. Are you looking for a new job and tired of filling out endless applications? Let Lift My CV take over the job search for you. Lift My CV is the new AI-powered job search agent that finds and auto-applies to the best jobs for you, so you can land that dream job faster and easier than ever. Lift My CV is easy to use too. Just set your preferences, upload your resume, and Lift My CV handles everything else. It scans top job boards like LinkedIn, Monster, and more, and fills out the applications while you focus on prepping for that big interview. Your job search just got a lot easier. There's no subscriptions and no commitments. Sign up right now at liftmycv.com. That's liftmycv.com. Apply faster. Get hired sooner. Dreaming of your next getaway? Whether it's the romance of Paris, the adventure of Sydney, or the charm of London, your perfect trip starts at thegoway.com. Thegoway.com is the best travel site in 2025, comparing the best deals from top travel brands so you get unbeatable prices on your flight, your hotel, and more. Looking for something unique? Discover breathtaking destinations and book your dream vacation in just a few clicks. With hassle-free transportation and accommodations, all you have to do is pack your bags. London, Rome, Sydney, Paris, Dubai. Book your unforgettable dream vacation right now at thegoway.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, and thanks for joining. Make sure you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you are listening to us on. And I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters. You know, if you'd like to support the program, becoming a Patreon supporter is a great way to do that. And it does help us out a lot. And it keeps this show going in so many ways, guys. And if you're a Patreon supporter, you have access to commercial-free editions of all of the podcast episodes. And also, our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every episode. So the names you hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Richard, Alice, K-Mac, LeeZep, Shawna, Constance, George, Brandon, Rob and Trish Wilkerson, Christy R, John S, Frank, and Dale. Our top Patreon supporters, thank you all. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode. Okay, this is this pollster, Alan Lichtman. And, you know, the Democrats, they have these things that they convince themselves of. And there's one thing that they've been talking quite a lot about lately is that Republicans regret their votes for Trump. Republicans regret voting for Trump. I don't know where this stuff comes from. Where do these talking points come from? One person just says it and they all start repeating it. I don't know. But I don't know a single Republican that regrets voting for Trump. Now, they have these fake town halls that they've been doing with fake Republicans and upset that they've lost their jobs because of Trump and all this. That's all. Everybody knows that's all fake. Nobody believes that. And I don't know where this narrative comes from. In fact, all the MAGA people I know are so proud of President Trump constantly. I mean, that State of the Union, everything he's doing, everybody's very proud, very excited, and things are going better than even most MAGA people could have projected. Things are going so well. But let me play. This is Lichtman.
Lots of Trump voters are reporting buyer's remorse, saying, we didn't vote for this.
Okay, so who are these Republicans, these MAGA people reporting this, and who are they reporting it to?
Lots of Trump voters are reporting buyer's remorse, saying, we didn't vote for this. Oh, yes, you did. You were repeatedly warned that Trump would follow precisely this course according to Project 2025.
Oh, my goodness. Back to that. They're still on that. This guy, he's a pollster. He needs to get some updated talking points. That Project 2025, that was like 4 months ago.
Remorse is spreading to the broader American public. In the latest poll, Trump's approval rating is down to 44%, with 51% disapproval. That's the worst of any post-war American president, except for Donald Trump in his first term.
Okay, and that tells you how little credibility there is in these polls, right? I mean, that guy's a pollster. Whatever the result of the poll is decided before they do any polling. And I heard President Trump talk about this a lot. And let me know, you guys, in the comments, whether you agree with this or not. I don't believe that all these pollsters poll anyone. I think they just make up the numbers. I really do. I don't know about this guy, but come on. You know, the way the polls operate, the results they come back with what the reality is, I think they just make up the numbers. And you know what? The media and the liberals don't care because they get the desired results from the polls. And it's not just with Trump. All Republicans are bad. All Republicans are losing, and people hate all Republicans. That's what all the polls say, and that's obviously not the case. The opposite's true. Okay, now this is great. Listen to this. This is about Canada.
So it creates a lot of unpredictability. I understand that, and I've said that many times. We have to be ready for the unpredictability and the chaos.
See, this is a French Canadian
coming out of the Oval Office, and we need to fight back. And my message when I'm in Washington, Roselle, is we have not only a lot of arguments and a lot of allies in Washington, but we are stronger than some of us may think. Why? Because we're the biggest trading partner of the U.S. So when we use our purchasing power and our people decide to stop buying American or just buy Canadian or change their vacation plan, we're really having an impact on key districts and key states back in the U.S. that creates political pressure back to Washington.
Okay, she's out of her mind, this French Canadian, okay? Here in Florida, we call people snowbirds, right? Northerners who come to Florida during the winter. They usually come after the first of the year. We call them snowbirds, very seasonal. And Canadians are a part of that, in particular French Canadians. And I got to tell you, Floridians, we don't like the French Canadians. The French Canadians are, they're not well liked in Florida for whatever reason. They're rude, very arrogant. And a lot of them at the beach, these very overweight people that happen to be French Canadian, wear like spandex bikini swim trunks to the beach. It's not a group that's well loved. But what's going on in Canada, and you see this time and time again out of Canada, they're completely out of touch with reality on their importance to the United States. I'm not saying we don't get anything from Canada. Of course we do. But not that much. We don't need Canada. Canada needs us. And, I don't blame them for thinking the way they think. Everyone should think that they got a great country and love their country and have national pride. I know liberals in this country think that's an evil thing to have, is national pride. But we don't need Canada. Canada needs us. There's nothing we get out of Canada. In fact, most of what we get out of Canada are American products, right, that moved there since NAFTA. So no, we don't need Canada's not going to win this trade war. I played this clip on the radio this morning. You may have heard it on the live stream on YouTube this morning. The premier of Manitoba signed an executive order. He did this on live television, and he was applauded by all these Canadians behind him. He signed an order that in Manitoba, all stores that sell liquor must remove American liquor from their shelves immediately. He signed an order. Really? What good is that? This is liquor that's already been imported, that these companies have already bought. So why? Who's he hurting with that? He's hurting all these store owners that bought the liquor. It's bizarre to me. And Canada, they don't realize their size, right? Any of you ever have a dog, a little tiny dog, little yippy, tiny little dog, and the dog thinks it's like a pit bull or a German shepherd or something, or a Doberman? Little tiny dog weighs about 7 pounds. That's what Canada's like. The little dog that the women ride on their laps in the cars while they're driving to the grocery store. That's what Canada is like. They're that little nippy dog, yippy dog. They don't know how tiny they are. They think they're big and powerful, and they weigh 7 pounds. And that's just the way of it. And, I'll tell you, they're going to find out real quick where their place is. Right? They're going to find out real quick where their place is. And their place is not winning anything against the United States. For them to think that there's any chance in them winning a trade war with the United States shows they're completely out of their minds. Now, there was a story today. Bill Crystal, he's a neocon Republican establishment guy. Remember, he had the Weekly Standard that basically went out of business because of Trump. Bill Kristol, now this guy is textbook neocon Republican establishment. And listen to this. In a post on X, Bill Kristol, he left the Republican Party, by the way, a while back because of Trump. He's one of these, like Nicole Wallace on MSNBC, one of these Republicans in exile. Neocon Bill Kristol is urging his never-Trumper allies to stand with trans people, describing President Trump's criticism of transgender ideology as unjust and dangerous. Well, I don't know. It tells us a little something about Bill Kristol. Does it? I don't know. What's his interest with that? I don't know. Maybe we should ask Mrs. Kristol. But, here's the thing. The neocon Republican establishment, before Trump came down the escalator, to be a Republican was very difficult because we were losing all the time. And the reason we were losing is because the Republican Party was being run by these Bill Kristol types who always took these liberal positions. It was insane. It was just insane. And when Trump came down the escalators, when we started winning, but most Republicans were very much like Bill Kristol that were running the party. Our pundits, our elected officials, and everything, okay? Were very, very much like Bill Kristol. Whatever the liberal, now it's the trans, but whatever the liberal position was of the day, they would take it. So glad that those are gone. I mean, we're never going to go back to that. It was really sad. Those were tough days. It was really some tough days. Very hard to get used to all of that. But Trump has changed the expectations that the American people have of the Republican Party and for our politicians. So we're never going to go back to that. And thankfully, the Bill Kristol types, the neocon Republican establishment types, they're out of the loop now. Now, at the beginning of the podcast, I was talking about Charlie Kirk's mistake, I believe, in going on Newsom's show, and I just looked. It is the number one trend on X right now that Charlie Kirk went there, and the trend right now is that Gavin Newsom did a pivot on the transgenderism. And a lot of people are playing that like, oh, Charlie Kirk got him. He got him the pivot. No, that's not true. Gavin Newsom used Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was used. The Democrats, Gavin Newsom desperately want to pivot away from all that transgender nonsense. It's absurd. It's stupid. And this is the first step in them doing that. And Charlie Kirk just played a big part in helping their frontrunner Democrat take a pivot. It's right here. Here's the number one trend on X right now as I'm speaking. Newsom's pivot on transgender athletes. California Governor Gavin Newsom has recently voiced opposition to transgender athletes, this is on X, competing in female sports during an interview on a podcast with conservative commentator Charlie Kirk. This stance contrasts with his earlier support for transgender rights, leading to discussions about whether this shift is due to his political strategy or a genuine change in policy perspective as he positions for a potential 2028 presidential run. The Democrats want to get away from woke too. And it's more than just the trans issues. And Charlie Kirk walked into the trap and just helped Gavin Newsom walk away from the transgender issue. And he should not have done it. It was a big mistake. Charlie Kirk is helping the Democrats. I don't think he knows that. I'm not giving him too much grief because I have so much respect for Charlie Kirk, okay? But it was a mistake. And you could tell by this trend on X, not only did he help Gavin Newsom, he helped the Democrat Party as a whole. Now, I want to tell you guys about Dr. Appleton and his laser away pain treatment. You know, his laser treatment works on every type of pain I've ever heard of. Achilles tendonitis, that's a new one I just learned about. Arthritis, bursitis, back pain, sciatica, bronchial neuralgia, herniated disc, a heel, ankle, and foot pain, hip pain, knee pain, lumbar pain, neck pain, back pain, work injuries, post-surgical swelling, stenosis, strains and sprains, tinnitus, the list goes on. His laser away pain treatment works. He's rid me of pain 7 times. Not only is it 100% painless, you don't even feel it when it's happening. Dr. Appleton performs all the laser treatments himself. Appointments are not necessary, and walk-ins are welcome even on Saturdays. There's no drugs, no medications, no shots, no injections. Just you feel better. Give him a call. and say bye-bye to your pain. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. Make sure you tell them Brian Craig sent you. I'm Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk.